So you have a customer who overall is a decent customer. They pay on time, the work is consistent, and you've been with them for a little while. That said, when the work comes in, it's always a bit of a headache. You kind of dread doing it. It gets in the way of other work, and you're worried that it might be limiting your ability to grow. Is it right to fire this customer even though they've done nothing wrong? And is it something you should seriously consider, especially given the economic circumstances we're all aware of right now? What's up, guys? Ian Sandusky from Lakewood Machine Tool, back here again for Practical Machinist. And on this episode of Machine Shop Talk, we're going to be diving into the Practical Machinist forms to help tackle exactly this problem that was put forward by a Practical Machinist forum member. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so a poster came on to the Practical Machinist forums, specifically the shop management and ownership subforum, with a bit of a predicament on their hands. To quickly sum up the post, it was a fairly long post, so we're going to kind of hit the high points of it here. If you want to check it out, we always link these below in the show notes. But they have a small fabrication shop, so small that it is a one-man show. Little fabrication, little machining, but I thought this is kind of applicable to no matter what kind of manufacturing business you're in. So again, one-person show, they work alone. They have a very steady customer base. They have some very large customers in terms of the companies themselves are very large. Lots of steady work from them. They also have some smaller customers, consistent work from them. The poster seems fairly happy with where the revenue is at, but they did say that they are pretty much at capacity all the time. So as a one-man show, their shop is full, don't really have ability to take on new work because they're so busy with all these customers. Now, when we're talking about the customers, they did say that, and this is kind of where the problems kick in, one of these smaller customers, so smaller company, smaller orders, they've been a customer for quite a while. It sounds like almost kind of since the beginning of when they started this. I could be wrong on that. But they give them consistent work. So they have the same kind of orders coming in all the time, and the person who's asking the question knows that this is the kind of work that this company is going to give them. So if they have 10 parts that this company consistently gives to this shop, they say that probably 3 or 4 of them that they see on a recurring basis are absolute headaches. They're big, they're difficult to move around. If things even go slightly sideways on these when they're trying to get them done, they can spend entire days working on these things. And the poster said they actually thought that these parts weren't hitting shop rate, but they went through and actually did a calculation, time, material versus the money in, and found out that despite as much of a headache as these parts are, they are hitting shop rate. So that's something to keep in mind. This isn't a charity case. Now the problem is that these bigger customers, the big companies that they do work for, the poster said that they have signaled that in the future, very near-term future, their order volume is going to go up. So if they already do 50 parts for them, 50 part lines or whatever, instead of doing 100 parts a year, they're going to be doing 1,000 parts a year or whatever it is. But they're going to be expanding their business with this small one-man shop. The poster said that they feel that if they keep this smaller customer, the one whose work is a headache, they're not going to have the time or the ability to handle the larger order volume from the bigger companies. If the bigger companies decide to go somewhere else, big companies don't like having 1,000 vendors for the same job. They like to keep it all in the same shop. So if the poster, decides, hey, I'm going to keep this small customer and let some of that other work go for the big customers, they could end up not having that work at all. It sucks, but that's kind of the way the world works when it comes to these things. So they're wondering, this customer they're saying has done nothing wrong, the small customer, but they're wondering, should I fire them as a customer? Is it a smart idea? And especially with the economy the way it is it a wise thing to do to be firing customers right now? So if you've ever been in this scenario before, you know how difficult decisions like this can be. It's extremely difficult. If you get lucky enough to own and run a shop and you're lucky enough to be successful for long enough, this is a scenario you're gonna hit sooner than later. Firstly, this is a great problem to have. Fantastic problem to have. If you run into this problem, give yourself a pat on the back, because this means you're doing work at a good value with good quality, so much so and consistently that you have more orders than you know what to do with. I know shops that pray for this problem to come up. The other thing this signals, though, is this shop is probably not charging enough. Think of it this way. If you had a dream shop, so, I don't have my older machines, I have the nicest machines I could ever imagine, I have everything I want, I have the staff I want, and I go out there, I can do anything. And I go out there and I charge $30 an hour shop rate for my work. How many customers do you think I'm gonna have? More than I know what to do with, probably, right? My door is gonna get knocked down. Now, what if we take that exact same shop, same capabilities, we can do anything that we wanna do, and we charge $1,000 an hour? How many customers are we gonna have then? Fewer. If we can do anything, probably not zero. Now, $1,000 an hour shop rate is pie in the sky. I'm just using that for illustration. But what if your shop rate was, instead of $30 an hour, and you should never be at $30 an hour, but instead of $30 an hour, $100 an hour? Now, what if it was $200 an hour? What this means is there's a threshold where you compare value to cost. And this is very difficult to figure out. Your rate per hour and what your market can tolerate is going to depend on the industry you're in, the kind of capabilities you have, the location, where in the world are you working, and then even where are the economic factors at play in your industry and in your area at any given time. There are so many factors that go into this. But if you have more work than you know what to do with, it's a pretty good indication that you're not charging enough. You almost want some of those customers to self-select and say, we have a cheaper option so you can focus more and fill your machines with the work that actually makes you money. Remember, when it comes to quoting, we only really want about a 70% win rate. Any more than that means that you're probably appealing too broadly and you're probably not charging enough. Second thing to consider here is that given the scenario this person's giving us, it's probably time to expand. Remember, this is a one-person show. That means by default, they are doing everything themselves. Now, if they're running a business like this and they are the fabricator, they're the on-call machinist, that means they probably have a lot of skill in that area. Otherwise, this one-man show would not exist. They have no one to fall back on. But since they are a one-man show, that also means they're doing the bookkeeping, they're doing the sales, they're answering the phone, they have to spend time replying to emails, they're doing the shipping, receiving, they're sweeping the floor. There's a lot of things that they're doing that don't capitalize on their skill set that actually makes them money. What they could do, a lot of people say, I would love to expand, but I can't find skilled help. We've talked about this a million times before. You hear it out there everywhere. Skilled help, hard to find. I get that. So then, why don't you look at it the other way? How do I free, in this case, myself, up to do more productive work? How do I free up my time to only focus on the stuff that only I can do? If you have a bunch of machinists, and you have some guys that are skilled here and some guys that are, maybe operators that are entering the trade, the idea isn't to bring on as many skilled guys as you can if you can't find them. The idea may be, how do I help these operators free up the time of the skilled guy so he can spend more time doing what he really does well? So, maybe this person brings on a shop helper. Yeah, do you know what? They're not going to be as good a welder. They're not going to be able to pitch out holes on a manual mill like this person can. But since this person's not sweeping the floor, they're not saw cutting material themselves, they can focus more on what they need to do, and therefore it's going to expand their capacity. The other part of that conversation would be technology. Again, this was kind of fabrication focused. I'm not the biggest fabricator, I don't really know. But what kind of automation or technology exists that could free them up to do more? If they're using a regular bandsaw, I realize I just pointed at my bandsaw and you guys can't see it. But if you're using a regular bandsaw, could you get an automatic saw? So you load it and it cuts all your blanks for you. Are there any kind of ERP solutions that could help manage the back end of the shop easier. Technology can even mean, are you doing all your bookkeeping by hand? Could you bring in something like QuickBooks to keep it all organized for you so you can spend less time doing that? Both these things are going to help free up time, and that's what we're talking about here. So this poster may actually find themselves in a position where they have the capacity for this work. Something to think about. Finally, the question that was asked. I know we kind of danced around it here, but is it right to fire this customer who has done nothing wrong, and is it a smart idea? To keep it simple, I think, in my experience anyway, customers and shops, customers and vendors usually tend to have a period where they are a great fit for each other. The capabilities line up, the availability lines up, the shop rate lines up, whatever it may be. Things just click. Unfortunately, like most things in life, nothing is really forever. The same 5 customers you have when you start your shop, unless you got in some really good places and have some really good relationships, just due to the nature of business, are probably not going to be your same 5 customers 10 years down the road. You're probably going to roll them over, shops will move away, shops will close, capabilities will change. If I right now have all these 3-axis mills, and all of a sudden I go and put 5-axis mills in here, is the work that my shop is geared towards right now at X rate per hour going to make sense at a machine that costs more to run, or at least has a higher capital startup cost? In your growth and as your development as a shop, there's a good chance that there will be some fall off, and that's okay. So I really hate, and I keep doing this when I say firing, I really hate firing customers because I think that's a horrible way to look at it. It's a relationship. Do you fire a friend? Do you fire your girlfriend or boyfriend? No, you maybe put some distance into that relationship, or maybe you stop engaging as much. It is worth having an honest conversation with the company and say, hey, listen, I have my order book filling up with some very large orders, large volume. I have commitments to these customers. I don't know if I'm going to have time to bring this on. That shop may say, hey, do you know what? We really appreciate that. We're actually expanding this and we can pay you 10 times the amount we had for it. They're probably not going to do that, but you don't know until you talk about it. They may say, hey, thank you. Do you know anybody who can do this temporarily while you see what's going on? Or they may say, thank you, we'll see you later. But you don't know what's going to happen in that conversation until you bring it up and you're honest. It's worth being as transparent as possible because we never really know what's going on behind the doors of other shops. So other options may be, he goes to them and says, hey, I have these 3 shops I really like and I do business with. I can't handle you right now. Why don't I set you up with them and we'll see how it goes. Might work out. Or he may want to play the sub out game. He may want to sub this work out to another shop that he trusts if they want to get involved in that kind of business because, as we talked about before, the whole subcontracting game, it's a little different, comes with its own risks and rewards, so do you want to get involved in that? But in any case, yes, in my opinion, it is right to not work with a customer anymore because if they're holding you back from growing, unfortunately, what is this saying? You can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You can't hold your business back in order to keep another business going, even if they're a good customer. But it's worth keeping that relationship going. Be honest, try to help them out. You do gotta kind of look out for your own shop in this case. In any case, guys, I'd like to know in the comments below, have you been in this scenario? How did you navigate it? Have you ever had to fire a customer before and did it go good? Did it go bad? Did you regret it? Let us know in the comments below because sharing knowledge like this is how we help each other. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You take care.